Do you struggle with finishing paintings? Kind of scared to take a risk because you don't want to wreck what you already have? I do too. But today I'm going to show you how I persevere, build up more layers, let things go, add new things, and finish the painting that I showed you last week. If we haven't met before, I'm Pat from Scrivener Art and Design in Parksville, British Columbia on beautiful Vancouver Island. I love sharing my knowledge with you to help you on your creative path. So let's take a look and see how this painting transformed. So I'm past the playful stage now, and I'm looking at this to really clarify and finish it off, refine it to the point where I'm happy with it. So there's a lot of things about this painting that I am enjoying, and as I analyze it, there's things that I don't like as much. So this was just a playful start. So I'm finding that this is just too bold of contrast, having the opposite. So I'm definitely going to push that back. I'm feeling like it needs more dark on this side. All my darks are over here. So I definitely want to add some dark over here. I'm also thinking about the focal point. I have at this time decided that this is the direction. This feels directional to me, either this way or a 180-degree turn. But this is the way I liked it best. Now, my leaves are fairly up and down. That might be why. The other thing that's bothering me is this piece over here. And I feel like it needs to be broken up. So those are some of the things that I'm going to experiment with. When I think about what to add and if I want to add pattern, I think of numbers, asemic writing, stripes, polka dots, perhaps more leaves. So I'm just going to continue on this and see if I can push it along further and perhaps even finish it. So stay with me, grab a cup of tea, and I'm going to continue exploring. The first thing I'm doing here is pushing this back with titanium white paint. I've watered it down quite a bit. Going to try just a scraper here, a catalyst wedge. Now I'm coming back in with some green paint in and around this just to create kind of a new shape. Think of titanium white as your eraser, and working with acrylic paint you can build up many layers, so if something isn't right or you take something away, you can put it back. So here I'm adding a leaf shape to break up that piece of teal that I didn't like, and I'm adding another smaller leaf down in this area as well. So just doing a little bit of leaves that are more different directions, having something come in from the top. One thing I like to do is stand back and look at my work often. So that's a big part of making decisions, is looking from a longer ways away so that you can see the full painting. You're not so close up to it. Another thing you can do is take a picture and look at it very small, or you could also use a mirror and look at it as in a rear view mirror look. This will often show you things that you don't see when you're working on it. So I've come in with some green. Now I'm bringing some dark onto the right side of the painting here. So this is the phthalo turquoise color, and it is a fluid paint that I'm using here. So just trying to bring it around this leaf and blend it out. I'm not using any mediums in my paint at all, but you could use a blending medium, or if you really like blending, you could mix your paint with some open acrylic paints, or you could try open acrylics on their own. I personally don't really like working with the open acrylics. I've tried them, but I just find them a little bit sticky. But you could perhaps add some into your paint. So here I've got a stencil with numbers, and I'm bringing some numbers in up at the top here. Again, I'm using that phthalo turquoise color and a little makeup sponge, and I've taped the stencil on to the canvas just so that it doesn't move around. Painting in around this number, letting some of it go. Bringing a little bit lighter color in and using my hands to blend. Bringing some bright orange up into this shape. And again, using my hands to blend. So I like to use a glove just so I don't get so much paint on my hands. And now I'm pushing the numbers back a little bit. And now I'm really pushing the numbers back. So again, I'm putting it on and wiping it off just so I leave a hint of that color, and coming back in with some warmer color, peachy tones. So really what I'm trying to do is continue to build up layers and stay loose in this painting, but also refine it, finish it off by making sure that it has good flow all the way around and that it feels balanced. This is the hard part of painting. The painting that at this point so many people give up on instead of pushing through. So you have to be a risk taker. So you can see here that I've decided to cover more up, and I'm using a cake. I think this is used for icing a cake, and I'm putting some white over top of some of this, so obliterating more of the paint underneath. And I may or may not like this, but sometimes you just have to get in and make some changes and give the painting some new energy. Not be afraid to ruin something, because on the other side you'll always come out better for it. It just takes a while to get there sometimes. And you'll see that this painting goes through many changes before I feel like it's complete. And I'm coming back in here, making marks with woody stabilos, adding asemic writing, going around some of my leaf shapes, just giving them a little bit more interest and definition. So you want to hold your brush loosely near the end of the handle opposed to close up. and this is going to help keep you loose, and is going to make your painting feel more painterly than if you're working with your brush like a pencil. So now I'm coming in with a paint roller and just trying to add another layer, and I've got more than one color happening on this roller. So just softening some of what I've done here. Change up your tools is a great way of also getting different results than you might get if you just stuck with a brush. So I'm working on this painting in the what I feel is the upside down orientation, and this is often helpful to be able to see different things. So then stepping back and taking a look, trying to make a decision on what to go forward on next. Come in with some softer peach tones. And if you put some paint in one place, a color, you want to probably put it in other places. The only time that this might not apply is if you're using a spot of color to draw attention somewhere and it's maybe a different color altogether than you have in your painting. But otherwise, try and keep your brush moving around, paint your whole painting instead of working on one area at a time. So I'm constantly analyzing things that I don't like and coming in to change them. So every time you do something, it's going to change how the painting feels. And at this point, it's feeling a little bit chaotic and not resolved. So there's several more things that I'm going to have to do to make it feel right for me. And some of you are going to feel like I should have stopped long before I do. So I'm feeling this orange color here is needing toning down. Now this is a painting I started with no ideas, just started by being playful, adding color, and you can watch the first video. I'll put the link to it up in the cards and also down in the description so that you can watch the start of this painting. So what you see on screen takes much longer in real life because I've sped it up to be twice as fast, but also I've cut out a lot of my paint mixing and my pondering. So often a lot of time is spent making decisions away from the painting. So I'm coming in here making some polka dots, and I'm using the paint roller. This stencil is actually a bag holder that folds up, and you can hang on your wall to store plastic bags in and pull them out when you need it. But I saw the beauty of the polka dots in this and bought it as a stencil. So here I'm coming in with a makeup sponge on it, just perhaps a different effect. And I picked up some paint that's in the teal family. So just trying different things, being brave, as I said, and taking risks. You have to allow yourself to continue exploring and get scared that you might do something that you don't like, because it can always be changed. And what if is a great question. And would it make it better? Would it mess it up? I don't know, but will it push me to continue on and keep making changes until I feel the painting is resolved? So I'm softening this circle bubble down. One of the things I see with more aspiring painters is that they're scared to push their painting forward and scared to take risks because they might lose the beauty of what they've already done. And as that is true, that you're going to obviously cover up some of what you've done, you're going to end up with a much richer painting if you keep adding layers and keep working on it. And when we're working this way intuitively, in an abstract sense, we don't have a picture to follow. And so this is coming from a very internal place, and we have to keep revisiting things, talking to the painting, asking the painting what it wants. And sometimes this takes sitting with the painting. I like taking my paintings particularly into my house where I have a gazing wall where it's a lot quieter visually, and I'm out of my studio where I don't have the distractions of other stuff, and I can just look at it when I'm not working. And so often that way I see something that I don't see in my studio. So just keep playing and adding, and eventually your painting will resolve and you'll feel like it's complete. Painting this way requires you to get in the flow state as well. And for me, that means being calm. And so some ways to access the flow state are to take some deep, nourishing breaths before you start painting and get yourself in that calm place. Also, staying hydrated during your process is really important, and trying to continue breathing. I know often that when I'm working fast and keep working, that I tend to start breathing more shallow, and it's important that you concentrate on getting lots of oxygen into your system as well. I don't always have music going when I'm painting. Sometimes I just like to really be in my own headspace, but I do have music going. I try for myself to use very tranquil, meditative type music that's going to keep me in a very relaxed state so I can tap into my inner being better than if I was distracted by noises and sounds of songs or people talking. So that's something that you can use music for at the beginning of a painting when you want to bring energy in and you're just playing around and dancing and putting marks down. But in this phase, at the the final stages of the painting where you're trying to resolve things, I find that for myself, I really need to get into my own headspace so I can have this conversation with the painting and listen to it and what it needs. And you can see those numbers that I put in, and I quite liked how they looked, but for some reason, I let them go. And maybe I'll put them back. You don't know until you know. So keep going, keep exploring, keep trying stuff. Take a moment during your painting to take a picture, check your values, put it in an app and turn it into black and white so you can see. Often when you see it in black and white, it shows the truth. And things you don't see because color can distract us. So now I'm really getting into really fine tuning this by adding little bits of color here and there that may look insignificant, but they are helping to lead the eye around the painting. So doing some softening. Because I've worked with cold wax and oil for so long, I feel like when I go back to acrylic that I want to blend it, and it seems a harder thing to do. And so hence the rag and trying to blend and wipe things back more. Coming in around some of the leaves, adding a little bit of teal. So when you start your painting, start with a bigger brush than you think you need, and don't pull out those small brushes until you're near the end, because otherwise you're going to get way too detailed too soon. For this job, you could also use an acrylic marker as well to do a little bit of additional coloring and outlines. And like I said, I had no intention of painting leaves when I started this painting, or having, you know, anything that may resemble a very abstracted looking garden. So I'm doubling up on this leaf here, so you can think of these all as shapes, and you want to have a variety. So by stacking one on top of the other, it's giving me a bigger shape, if you will. So this part of the video isn't sped up, and you can see just how slow I'm actually working. You become much more methodical. So I'm trying different leaf shapes and orientations here. Basically the same leaf shape, but just trying different ways. And I'm using chalk to get an idea of what feels best. Another way you can do this is cut shapes out of paper as well. So I'm just trying to break up this big shape, and I've decided to go with this angle in order to add some more interest to it. Putting another layer of green over the darker green. Again, using that paint that's on my brush in another place. So you always want to make sure that your painting is feeling connected when you look at it as a whole. You don't want part of it to feel different than another part, or that it's not integrated. You definitely want differences, but you don't want it to be one-sided. Half of your differences on one side and the other on the opposite side. You want it to feel cohesive throughout. Sometimes that's a color thing. Sometimes it's a style. Other differences that you want are some flat areas, some busy areas. We can think about soft edges and hard edges as well. You want to look at your corners to see if they're all feeling different, and that you don't have anything distracting out on the corner that's going to pull your eye right out of the painting. You can also look at the edges of your painting as a way for people to come in. You can think of line or an implied line in your painting as a way of traveling around throughout the painting. So you can use line as direction for people to go through your painting. So things aren't just once and done. They're about going back and forth, continuing to add layers and colors until you feel it's right. And this makes for a lot of interest and depth in your painting. So I'm taking a lot more time here on perfecting my leaf shapes and adding more color to them. Not that I want them to be perfected, but I want them to be interesting. So let me know in the comments if finishing work is something that you struggle with, if you struggle with taking risks and letting go of parts in order to make your painting better. Coming in here with a Stabilo, woody Stabilo, just adding some pink around the edges of my leaves. That gives them a little bit more relationship with the other pink and magenta in the painting. Now, if you stick around to the end, I'll show you some close-ups of the detail of this so that you can actually see all of the intricate parts of the layers and how it gives it so much depth. This painting is 36 by 36 inches, and I worked on it over 2 sessions. The first session was the play session, and the second session is the refining session. I think I did a little play in this session too before I actually got down to refining, but it's just sometimes what you have to do. Once you get back into the painting, it just speaks to you, and what you thought you were going to do and what you end up doing can be 2 totally different things. So now adding a leaf down here, and I certainly think this area at the bottom is so much more interesting than it was before, when it was just a big peach kind of a shape there with the teal lines, curvy organic lines going across it. So this is how you get there, one step at a time, taking risks as you go, trying different things. And if this didn't look right, I would just go over it again.
Again and again and again.
Sounds like there's a monkey in the crowd. What would I do without the peanut gallery? Okay, it's time for you to leave now. Go, go. So bringing a little bit of teal back onto these leaf shapes. Again, that's going to help integrate it into the teal that's going on elsewhere in the painting. Again, holding my brush really, really loose. and taking a check on it upside down. This particular shape here was bothering me, and I feel like it needs another leaf, and it's really imperative that it feels like it's in the right place. So chalk is your friend as well. Now, if you would like a handout on how to loosen up, I do have a handout of 7 tips that you can print out and hang on your studio wall as a reminder of things that you can do to help you stay loose. Because this is one thing I hear from so many students, is they want to paint loose and more painterly, and they struggle with how to get there. So I hope that by my demonstrations that it's helped you to realize that paintings don't just fall out of your brush, paint themselves. There's many stages, and some paintings take much longer than others to come to their final spot. And sometimes this can take months or even years. Here's some close-up details. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you will continue creating, and please like and subscribe to my channel, share the videos with a friend.